Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. So this is a list of, yes, solo albums ranked worst to best from ultimateclassicrock.com. And now, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Yes, the John Anderson years. And I do have a few John Anderson solo albums. Some I don't have anymore for certain reasons, but I've heard, a few of them. The other solo albums, not as many. So, there's going to be a lot of albums. I'm going to say I've never heard this, but one of the reasons I'm doing this is to get, people that have heard these solo albums to, let me know if you agree with, maybe maybe an album that's ranked really low and you disagree with that. I'm just interested in other Yes fans' opinions on this. But I will, there's certain albums I'm very curious about. Like I said, certain albums where they're ranked on this list. So here we go. So I wonder what's at the very bottom. Poor John Anderson. Yeah, 3 Ships. 1985. If anyone's heard this album, let me know if it deserves to be on the very bottom of the list. Okay. This one, I actually did buy at one point. The More You Know, 1998. And I agree. It should be at the bottom. It's definitely the worst John Anderson solo album that I've heard. It's really poppy and kind of, it's just not very good. Yeah, brash, synth brass, and canned hip-hop beats. Poor John Anderson. A lot of solo albums at the bottom. The Promise Ring. So there's 75, 76, 77 Yes solo albums. This is going to be a 2-hour movie. John Anderson again, 1994. Poor John Anderson. Now, he has made some excellent solo albums. So hopefully they'll be near the top or at the top. Rick Wakeman, his first entry, Return to the Center of the Earth, 1999. I know he's put out a lot of solo albums. Oh, Alan White. That's interesting. White featuring Alan White. John Anderson again, In the City of Angels. Rick Wakeman, The 7 Wonders of the World, 1995. I think, actually, I guess there are 2 Chris Squire solo albums, but I think at least one of them is going to be high up in the list. I had that one, but I didn't really care for it. Never even heard of that one. Angel's Embrace, 1995. I had that one too, and I didn't care for it. Page of Life I've never heard. Tony Kaye, End of Innocence, 2021. That's a fairly recent album. Rick Wakeman again, Cost of Living, 1983. Rick Wakeman, Silent Nights. Peter Banks, well, the original Yes guitarist. Excellent guitarist. Reduction. 1997. Ooh, horrible album cover. Peter Banks again, Instinct. Rick Wakeman, Time Machine. Alan White, I've heard of this album, but I've never heard it. 1976, Ramshackle. Let me know if you think it should be near the bottom of the rankings. Oh, Steve. What a horrible album cover. The Grand Scheme of Things. I wonder if he sings on the album. He's possibly my favorite guitarist, but not my favorite singer. Conspiracy. Yeah, there's Chris Squire. Steve Howe with another horrible album cover. Bill Bruford's Earthworks, 1991. Mraz Bruford, interesting. Music for piano and drums. Don't know about that album cover though. Pete Banks again with Self-Contained. I never realized he put out so many solo albums. Rick Wakeman, Rock and Roll Prophet. Rick. 1982. GTR with Steve Howe and Steve Hackett, I believe. Yeah, Steve Hackett. It's ranked number 50. Yeah. I don't care for this album cover. It was in one of my worst album covers videos, but somebody mentioned really liking it, and yeah, everybody's different. Ooh. Quantum Guitar, 1998. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Bruford, well, I'll try. Borstlap, every step a dance, every word a song. Another album with Patrick Moraz and Bill Bruford. Steve Howe, Love Is. 2020. Another horrible album cover. David Cross. Oh yeah, he was in King Crimson and Peter Banks. Crossover. Nice album cover. Earth, Mother Earth, John Anderson. Steve Howe, Time. John Evangelos. I don't know how you say his last name, but short stories. I did have one of their albums. Should be coming up. Steve Howe, Skyline. Bill Bruford's Earthworks, Dig, question mark. Oh, some of these album covers. You think Being and Yes, especially the early 70s with so many great album covers that they'd be influenced to make their own great album cover. 1984. Out There, Rick Wakeman. Okay, this one I do have. Song of Seven. I can't say where it should be in the ranking because I haven't heard a lot of these albums. But for me, it's at least my second favorite John Anderson solo album that I've heard. I think it's excellent. Private Collection, Bruford, Gradually Going Tornado, Chris Squire Conspiracy, Billy Sherwood, Rick Wakeman, The Red Planet. I had that on vinyl back in the day. It didn't really resonate with me back then. The Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Came with a pretty cool booklet, though. Ooh. Bill Bruford's Earthworks, The Sound of Surprise. The sound of a bad album cover. If Summer Had Its Ghosts. Apart and Yet Apart. Rhapsodies, 1979. Nice haircut there, Rick Wakeman. I had that one. It was okay, but, I never really listened to it much, so it's not in my collection anymore. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but didn't really hold my interest. Change We Must, 1994, another not very good album cover. Animation, once again, a pretty bad album cover, but the album is excellent. I really do like it. I had that one, just couldn't, once again, get into it. Oof. Bruford Levin, Upper Extremities. Squacket, Chris Squire and Steve Hackett, A Life Within a Day. The Steve Howe album, I believe that was his first one. See, once again, of course, that's a great album cover. I just forget the name of the artist at the moment, but, the artist that did all of the old Yes covers. I had that. Journey to the Center of the Earth. It was interesting. I didn't mind it. Back when I was a teenager. Bruford Feels Good to Me. Steve Howe. Turbulence. Rick Wakeman, never heard that one. No Earthly Connection. Tony Levin, David Torn, and Alan White. Steve Howe's Spectrums. Yep, I did have that on vinyl. I probably bought it around the time it came out. And I bought it on CD later. And, it's not bad. But I'd rather listen to an early John Anderson solo album or Yes. But I know it has its fans, for sure. All right, we go into the top 10. Here we go. I wonder what's going to be number 1. It's it's between John. It's going to be between John Anderson and Chris Squire. I think it's going to be Chris Squire. Bill Bruford's Earthworks, 1987. Steve Howe's Remedy, Elements. Rick Wakeman's Criminal Record. Looking very serious there. Yeah, I remember seeing that album. Never heard it, but like I said, very underrated guitarist. I love his work on the first two Yes albums. Two Sides of Peter Banks. The Steve Howe Trio, New Frontier. Nice album cover. Better than some of the ones I've seen by him. The Steve Howe album. I thought I already saw that one. So this is his second solo album. I'd go back, but I don't want to waste your time. Oh, okay. John Anderson, Elias of Sunhillow. I love that album. Sometimes it's my favorite. I have the deluxe version of it. So yeah. I was thinking that might be number one, but it ain't. Number 3, Bruford, One of a Kind. Yeah. Yeah, my older brother had that on vinyl. The Six Wives of Henry VIII, 1973. So number 1, yeah, is Chris Squire, Fish Out of Water. Yeah, that is an excellent album. Although, between that and the first 3 John Anderson albums, I think I'd rather listen to any of those first 3 John Anderson albums. But Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water, if you haven't heard it and you're a Yes fan, I highly recommend it. So I have no problem with that being number 1. Yeah. So that's it. I would love your thoughts on any of these solo albums. Okay, so yeah, I did go back. So the Steve Howe album, 1975. This is the very same cover. I'm confused. Somebody screwed up, and it wasn't me. Yeah, weird. Okay, so I was wrong there. Beginnings is Steve Howe's first solo album. All right. Then the Steve Howe album, 1979. Yeah, they just have the wrong album cover for that. Okay. Beginnings, 1975. Yeah. So that album is his second, actually. The cover. So confusing. So that's it. Yeah, I would love your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.